Today's story takes us to a place that was once filled with children's laughter and joy. But now, all that remains is silence and a dark, lurking secret. This is the story of Freddy Fazbear. Our story opens with a heavy sense of dread. We find ourselves inside an old, decaying building. Darkness dominates every corner, and a lone security guard is running for his life. He's terrified, darting through narrow corridors. Desperate to escape something we can't see, but its presence is unmistakable. In a frantic attempt to flee, he climbs into a vent, but suddenly, an unseen force yanks him away. He's dragged into a shadowy room, strapped to a bizarre mechanical chair. This machine has a mask equipped with sharp spinning blades. He screams, struggles, and fights to get free, but the machine clamps down, sealing his mouth shut. And then, silence. This chilling scene gives us just a taste of the dangers that lie ahead. Fast forward to the present day, and we meet our main protagonist, Mike. He's a broken man, his life slowly unraveling. By day, he works as a security guard at a mall, but the trauma he carries haunts him constantly. Sleep eludes him, medications barely help, and he spends nights lost in a book about dreams. Mike believes that if he can learn to control his dreams, he might be able to go back into his past and finally find what he's missed. But reality quickly reminds him that life is far from simple. One day at the mall, while working his security shift, he spots a man and jumps to a shocking conclusion. He thinks the man is trying to kidnap a child. Panicked, he rushes in and starts hitting the man without hesitation. Only later does he realize the terrible mistake. The man was just the child's father. Because of this incident, Mike loses his job. His life, already complicated, begins to spiral further out of control. With his parents gone, all his responsibilities now fall on his younger sister, Abby. Abby isn't like other children. She's quiet, withdrawn, almost lost in her own world. She rarely speaks to anyone, spending hours absorbed in her drawings. She has no real-world friends, but in her imagination. She's surrounded by companions. Mike does his best to care for her, but the bills keep piling up, and his money is slowly running out. On top of that, a woman named Jane has her eyes set on Abby not out of love or concern, but because she's after the government foster care money. Mike fears that the moment Jane discovers his vulnerable situation, she'll make her move. Mike knows that if he doesn't find a job soon, Jane will move in and take custody of Abby. She's already hired a lawyer, ready to prove in court that Mike isn't capable of caring for his sister. Desperate, Mike turns to a career counselor named Steve Raglan. After reviewing Mike's troubled record, Steve tells him the only opportunity left is a night shift at a long-abandoned entertainment center called Freddy Fazbear. Steve explains that Freddy Fazbear's was once a hugely popular spot for kids, but it's been closed for years. The owner, still emotionally attached to the place, refuses to sell. That's why the building has remained empty, and security guards are kept on staff to protect the remaining property. The job is unusual, the place eerie, and the pay is low, but for Mike, it's the only chance he has. With no other options, he accepts. On his first night, Mike arrives at Freddy Fazbear's. The building is frozen in time, still echoing the 1980s, but now covered in dust and cobwebs. As he steps into the dining area, he sees the animatronic characters that were once his favorites: Freddy Fazbear, a bear; Bonnie, a rabbit; and Chica, a chicken. Behind the scenes lurks another figure, a pirate fox named Foxy, for Mike. These characters were more than just robots. They were the cartoons he grew up loving. But tonight, there's something unsettling about them. These animatronic robots were once the stars of children's parties, singing cheerful songs and bringing joy to everyone, but now they've been frozen in place for years, silent and motionless. Mike sits in his office, taking a sleeping pill. He hopes that by drifting into sleep, he can enter his dreams and, through them, reconnect with long-lost childhood memories. In his dream, he revisits a camping trip with his family. He watches his little brother playing with a toy plane, until suddenly, a man appears. snatches him, and drives away in a car. It's a nightmare Mike has endured for years, relentless and terrifying. He chases after the car, screaming, but can never catch it. Every time he tries to see the kidnapper's face, it remains just out of reach. The fear becomes so overwhelming that he wakes up in the real world, drenched in sweat. While Mike quietly goes about his job, plotting only to survive his shift, Aunt Jane is scheming. She teams up with Abby's babysitter, Max, and Max's brother, paying them to break into Mike's workplace and vandalize it. Her plan is simple, but cruel. If the building is damaged, Mike will be fired and in court. It will look like he's completely irresponsible. The next night, Mike returns to his job at Freddy Fazbear's. Unaware of the danger Jane has set in motion, that night, Mike encounters a police officer, a very unusual one. She seems to know an unsettling amount about Freddy Fazbear's, standing before the silent robots. She tells him that 5 children vanished from this very building back in the 80s. The police searched for years, but their bodies were never found, she warns.
Like that this is why the place has remained closed all these years.
And cautions him that Freddy Fazbear's has a way of playing with people's minds. He should be careful. Mike, however, shrugs off her warning. As soon as she leaves, he takes a sleeping pill, hoping to drift into his dreams again. But while he sleeps, Max and her brother, the ones hired by Aunt Jane, sneak into the building to vandalize it. They start tossing kitchen utensils around, oblivious to the danger lurking in the shadows. Then, a strange, chilling noise fills the air. The atmosphere shifts, tense and unnatural. One by one, the robots on stage begin to move, and it becomes horrifyingly clear that they are not just machines. Something else. Something alive. Is inside them. Chaos erupts. Everyone who came to destroy the place is killed. Chica attacks someone in the kitchen, while Bonnie traps another in the supply closet. Suddenly, Foxy bursts into the corridor, attacking anyone in sight. The robots are fully alive, engaging in a relentless, terrifying fight. Even the small cupcake in Chica's hand springs to life. Joining the battle, the night at Freddy Fazbear's has turned into a nightmare. No one could have imagined. Everyone who had come to vandalize Freddy Fazbear's was wiped out. Finally, Max, who had been waiting outside, decides to check on the others. But as she steps inside, a shadow suddenly follows her. Thinking it's a human, Max chases after it, only to find herself among the robots. And just like the others, she suffers the same terrifying fate. Meanwhile, poor Mike is fast asleep, completely unaware of the carnage that has unfolded. When he wakes up, the building looks unchanged. The broken tables are gone, and the people who died the night before are nowhere to be seen. Mike has no idea how much bloodshed took place. He finishes his shift and heads home, shaken but clueless. The next night, as he prepares to leave, he realizes something unusual. Max, Abby's babysitter who was supposedly killed, never showed up. He tries calling her, no answer. With no other choice, Mike brings Abby with him to work. And from that moment, everything changes. Once inside, something incredible happens. Abby isn't afraid. She wanders freely toward the stage. Mike rushes to stop her, but then he sees something that shocks him. The giant robots, the same ones responsible for all the deaths the previous night, aren't attacking her. Instead, they're playing with her. The very machines that had caused so much bloodshed are now gentle, almost protective. They don't harm Abby at all. The robots even build a fort out of tables and chairs. Abby dances among them, laughing while they clap and cheer for her. Mike watches in shock, partly amazed, partly terrified. Before he can make sense of it all, the same officer, Vanessa, appears. But unlike Mike, she isn't surprised at all to see the robots interacting with Abby. When Mike asks why, Vanessa explains. The 5 children I told you about, the ones who disappeared, are actually dead. Their souls now inhabit these robots. And what you're seeing is them playing with Abby. Strange feeling washes over Mike as he connects the dots. The children he's been seeing in his dreams. They're the same ones who were there when his brother Garrett was kidnapped. Suddenly, a plan forms in his mind. If he can communicate with these souls, maybe they can reveal who took his brother, but the robots aren't done plotting. Though they've befriended Abby, their intentions are dark. They want Abby to stay with them forever. And to do that, they plan to kill her so she can join them. Just like the children trapped inside the animists. Meanwhile, Mike prepares for a risky move of his own. He deliberately takes a large dose of sleeping pills, intending to enter a deep trance-dreamlike state to speak directly with the children's souls. Finally, Mike's plan works. In his dream, he meets the 5 children and pleads with them. "Please, let me see my brother Garrett." The children's souls agree. But there's a condition. You can live with your brother here in this dream forever, just the way you remember him. But in return, we want Abby. He's overcome with grief and delirious with joy at seeing his brother. Mike forgets for a moment that Abby is his sister. Blinded by emotion, he agrees to sacrifice her, but the realization hits immediately. Mike screams, "No. No, take it back. I don't want to see my brother." It's too late. The deal has been sealed. The children attack him in the dream, and Mike wakes up screaming and can only to find himself strapped to the same terrifying torture chair from the beginning of the story. The animatronics are ready to kill him, determined to ensure Abby stays with them. Instinct kicks in. Mike struggles with every ounce of strength and barely manages to escape with his life. But while he fights for survival inside Freddy Fazbear's, something horrific is happening back at his house. Golden Freddy, the bear, arrives. Aunt Jane, who had been scheming and waiting to harass Mike, is confronted. And in a shocking turn, Golden Freddy kills Aunt Jane. Mike, badly injured, somehow makes it outside and encounters Officer Vanessa near the police station. Desperate, he demands the truth. "I want to know everything. Right now." Finally, Vanessa opens up. She reveals a horrifying secret. Her brother and Mike's brother's kidnapper was actually her own father. "My dad was a cruel man," she says. "He used to entertain children here in a yellow rabbit suit and then lure them away. He was a psychotic killer. 5 children were murdered, their bodies never found, because he hid them inside the robots. That's why the police could never trace them. Even worse," Vanessa warns, "her father's influence hasn't ended. He is still controlling the children's souls inside the animatronics, manipulating them from beyond." She cautions Mike not to return. "If you go back, he'll have you killed. It's too dangerous." But Mike cannot abandon Abby, determined. He grabs some equipment from Vanessa and heads back to Freddy Fazbear's. Vanessa, overcoming her fear of her own father, follows him, ready to help. Inside the pizzeria, the situation is worse than Mike imagined. The robots have captured Abby and are trying to force her into a mechanical suit of fate that would trap her forever like the other children. If the suit fully activates, Abby will be crushed. Mike rushes in and fires his taser at the robot, temporarily stopping it. He grabs Abby and makes a desperate attempt to escape, but the robots quickly close in, surrounding them on all sides. And then, a new threat appears. The yellow rabbit, the very same figure from Abby's drawings. Towering, incredibly strong, it throws Mike to the ground with ease. When the mask comes off, Mike is shocked. Beneath it is Steve, the career counselor who gave Mike the job at Freddy Fazbear's. Steve confesses in cold, horrifying detail. Not only did he kill Mike's brother, but he was also responsible for the deaths of the 5 children trapped in the animatronics. And now, today, he plans to do the same to Mike. A brutal fight erupts. Steve attacks with deadly precision. Mike struggles to defend himself, but is clearly outmatched. Just as Steve prepares to deliver the final lethal blow, Vanessa arrives, gun in hand. It's revealed that Steve is Vanessa's father. She points the weapon at him, trembling with fear and determination. Steve sneers, taunting her. "You could never shoot me. You've never had the courage. You've always been afraid." But Vanessa doesn't falter. Her hands are steady, her resolve unwavering. Steve, now enraged, lashes out in a fit of fury. In a horrifying moment, Steve, Vanessa's own father, stabs her. Mike and Vanessa are trapped, wounded, while the robots look on, confused. To them, Steve was still their friend, the one they trusted. But Abby, watching everything unfold, knows what she must do. She grabs her crayons and draws a new picture one, showing the yellow rabbit hurting children. She carefully slides the drawing toward the robots. The moment the robots see it, their eyes blaze red with anger. Memories flood back. They remember everything. They remember that this yellow rabbit isn't their friend, it's the evil man who took their lives. Finally, freed from his control, the robots turn on Steve. They surround him, and he realizes too late that the tables have turned. He tries to fight back, but he is alone. Chica throws a small cupcake, which bites into Steve's mechanical suit. The suit's old spring lock mechanism activates, the iron clamps snap shut, beginning to trap Steve's body. The machine crushes him slowly, painfully as he suffers. He screams one final, chilling warning. "I always come back. I always come back." The robots drag him into the darkness, leaving only silence behind. Steve dies in agony, trapped in the darkness of the suit. The entire building shakes, as if it's on the verge of collapse. Mike quickly supports the injured Vanessa and holds Abby's hand tightly. Together, the three escape, leaving the horrors of Freddy Fazbear's behind. Sometime later, Vanessa is shown in a hospital, alive but in a coma. Mike and Abby visit her, a quiet moment of relief amidst the chaos. In that moment, the distance between Mike and Abby disappears. Abby, who once felt neglected and misunderstood, now knows that Mike is the one person who truly cares for her. And Mike, finally, lets go of the obsessions of his past. His brother's murderer is gone. He has moved on, dedicating himself solely to his sister's happiness. And so, the movie ends with the two of them together, safe, united, and ready for a new beginning. But the story isn't over. Part 2 opens in a much brighter, vibrant world. There's a children's festival at Freddy's, full of laughter, music, and lights. Everything seems perfect. Until we meet a little girl named Charlotte. Charlotte isn't enjoying herself. Something about the place feels off. Her gaze drifts, and her attention is pulled to a dark corner. Suddenly, she sees Freddy now, a massive, towering robot stealthily carrying away a small child. The shadows return, and the nightmare begins again. Charlotte panics and runs to tell the adults what she saw, but no one listens. They dismiss her fears, insisting she's imagining things. Even though she's telling the truth, no one believes her. Despite their disbelief, Charlotte refuses to give up. Determined, she ventures alone into the dark area to save the child. She succeeds in rescuing the child, but as she turns around, Freddy strikes. The attack is swift and fatal. Charlotte dies instantly. Word of the incident spreads, but people chalk it up to a tragic accident. Deep down, we know the truth. It wasn't an accident. The story shifts, bringing us back to Mike and his younger sister. Mike and Vanessa have become close friends, bonded by everything they survived together. But Vanessa's life is far from normal. Every night, she is haunted by recurring nightmares where Freddy comes to terrify her. Meanwhile, when her friends beg for scary stories, Abby doesn't hold back. She tells them the truth about Freddy's. Anyone who goes there risks being killed. And their soul trapped inside the robots? Abby's school life is difficult. Teachers judge her harshly because of her family's dark past. To make matters worse, a science project is underway where every student must build a robot. Abby's teacher threatens to expel her if she doesn't complete it within a 7 days, a looming deadline that adds even more pressure. Mike struggles to help Abby, but he's deeply troubled, weighed down by everything they've been through. One day, he and Vanessa go on a quiet date, trying to find some normalcy. They talk openly about their fears, knowing full well that they can't truly move forward until they confront the horrors of their past. When Mike returns home, he discovers that Abby has secretly gone to Freddy's hoping to retrieve a robot for her science project. Panic overwhelms him. Fear grips him like never before, and he rushes toward the pizzeria. When he arrives, he sees a chilling poster. Freddy is a killer. Mike grabs Abby and takes her home. But the uneasy feeling lingers, something is terribly wrong. Meanwhile, the story shifts to a group of teenagers who sneak into Freddy's, hoping to gain fame on social media. They believe their videos will go viral, but they have no idea they're stepping into a deadly trap. Inside, a girl named Lisa discovers a very old music box. Curious, she winds it. And suddenly, a massive box begins to shake. Out of it emerges the puppet, a toy that seems harmless, but is in fact deadly. The puppet attacks Lisa, and within moments, blood spills everywhere. A boy nearby falls into a water tank, where dozens of small, sinister dolls swarm him, killing him instantly. The teens realize too late that fame comes at a terrifying cost. Behind all the chaos is a boy named Michael. He wants the robots to come back to life, but to do that, he needs human souls. In his twisted plan, he lured his own friends to Freddy's, ensuring they would be killed. The people who died were not strangers. They were his friends. Meanwhile, Vanessa's condition worsens. She begins experiencing vivid hallucinations, hearing her father's voice haunting her. But this time, Vanessa refuses to be afraid. She confronts him in her dreams and, with courage, she shoots him. By defeating him in her dream, Vanessa frees herself from the fear that plagued her in the real world. Meanwhile, Abby discovers a Freddy mask that speaks to her. The mask seduces her mind, convincing her that the robots who were once her enemies are now her friends. Trusting them, she even takes the robots to her school festival for her science project. But her teacher, dismissive and harsh, destroys the project. Heartbroken, Abby returns to Freddy, crying. The robot comforts her, promising to fix the project if she just installs a special code. Innocent and trusting, Abby enters the code. But she doesn't realize the truth. The code isn't meant to help her project, hits a command that frees all the murderous robots. Meanwhile, Mike uncovers another piece of the puzzle. He finds Charlotte's father, who gives him the same old music box that triggered the puppet before. He warns Mike, there's something strange about it. Mike quickly realizes the truth. The music box Charlotte's father gave him can calm the robots. Panic hits him. Mobby has made a grave mistake and accidentally freed them. Meanwhile, Freddy shows up at the school. Posing as Abby's friend, he takes deadly revenge. The grumpy teacher who destroyed Abby's project is the first victim, killed in cold blood. Chaos erupts as students scream and run. The hall's drenched in terror. News of the massacre reaches Mike and Vanessa, and they rush to the school. When Vanessa sees the robots, the horrifying reality sinks in. The souls have returned to the machines, or rather, they had left at some point, and now they're back. She shouts for everyone to run. At that moment, the true villain emerges, Michael. He commands the robots to attack Mike. The shocking twist is revealed. These robots don't contain the souls of the original children, but the souls of Michael's friends. Michael has been controlling them all along, which is why he now orders Mike's death. Knowing he can't fight them head-on, Mike acts fast. He plays the music box given to him by Charlotte's father. The familiar tune weakens the robots, slowing their attacks. And then, help arrives. A group of good robots enters the fray. These machines, too, contain human souls, but these are good souls. Willing to fight against Michael's evil influence, the good robots, recognizing true evil, come to Mike's aid. They turn against Michael, attacking him relentlessly. In the end, the villain is defeated, Michael dies, and Mike emerges victorious. But the story doesn't end there. In the post-credits scene, a chilling spirit appears. Charlotte. She delivers a terrifying warning to Mike. She explains that what has happened so far is only the beginning. As long as Vanessa remains in contact with these robots, the danger will continue. We will continue to haunt you, Charlotte warns. Mike feels a shiver of fear. And then, final twist, one of the robots containing Charlotte's spirit seizes control of Vanessa. The movie ends on a haunting note, leaving us with one lingering question. What will Vanessa do next?
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.